114-98 is the victory for the Knicks in Game 4. Very important game. Could have been terrible if they lost it, but they win this game, as I said, 114-98. Fantastic defensive performance. Dexter Henry, Bryan Fonseca, the great John Jastremski, a.k.a. JJ, here with us in the building and now with us for a little bit of post-game before he has to leave. JJ, I think the main takeaway has to be from this is the Knicks, their backs were against the wall. To some degree, I know it was in do or die, but their backs were against the wall, and they stepped up defensively. They did everything they need to do to win this game. Everybody was better, maybe except for Jalen Brunson. We'll get to him in a second. Mike Brown was better. All the other players were better. They stepped up. For me, the defense was the most impressive part. What was it for you?
I think it has to be. I look at Karl-Anthony Towns, though. I mean, we could talk about the Knicks defense, but the way Cat seamlessly played throughout this game and the idea of him setting up his teammates, the idea of him not forcing the issue, not necessarily, hey, yucking up a bunch of shots. I'm going to take what's given. I'm going to find guys under the basket. I'm going to play within the offense. Yeah. To me, he was the most valuable player in the game, boys. Mm-hmm. And
I agree.
A step further, this is the version of Karl-Anthony Towns the Knicks need. Mm-hmm. Now, matchup, obviously, is going to dictate what you see as far as Cat shooting the ball more. Obviously, you had guys wide open baseline again and again and again. But this is an efficient, top-notch, playmaking, elite scoring machine at the big man spot. Brian, that to me, that's the game right there. Great defense at Karl-Anthony Towns.
I agree.
It's also the best game he's played in the playoffs. It was even better than the last game where we thought he was really good. But this is why we continue to say it's not about shot attempts with Karl-Anthony Towns. It's not about post-ups with Karl-Anthony Towns. It's about touches and being efficient with his touches. And he was doing that in this game. He was really, really good at finding. And first of all, the Knicks had a great game screening. And they would get OG Anunoby back cutting, and he was just wide open over and over and over again.
Yep.
And Cat was able to find these cutters over and over and over again. He was finding shooters as well, doing a good job of even playing some inside-out basketball. Like, his reads were great. He had a couple silly fouls, but, like, his game was so good that didn't even matter. And the shots that he was taking, because he only took 10 for the game, but it felt like every shot that he took was fine.
And let's give the coach credit. We talked about this at the end of the first quarter. They did a much better job of staggering Cat and Brunson. You didn't feel like you had these extended stretches of both guys being off the floor for the team. And I know Brunson, this is a weird game for him because of the ankle. He goes back into the locker room. But it was either Cat was on the floor or Brunson was on the floor or they both were on the floor.
Right.
And moving forward for the Knicks, that's how it's got to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes we have to I know it was uncomfortable. We got to let people go through the process. Mike Brown got there. However he got to this point, a lot of fans talked about it. I thought the rotations were great. I agree with JJ 100%. Cat is the MVP of this game. What he did on both ends of the court. The Knicks showed they could win a game when Jalen Brunson didn't have it. Jalen Brunson was not good tonight. Turned the ball over 6 times, right? 7 of 18 from the field. But the Knicks still found a way because most people had great contributions. We have a post game where we're not even going to talk about whether or not Mikal Bridges contributed. He only played 19 minutes. And yes, he disappeared in the second half. And Mike Brown said, okay.
Dex, they didn't even play him in the second half, didn't he? They said, you know what?
That first stint, right? And then that was it.
Oh, this needs to be brought up.
Sure.
It's just thinking about big contributions in this game.
Yeah.
Cat, the defense, all true.
Yes.
How about Alvarado?
Oh, I had a feeling you were going to go there.
Alvarado.
Wave your flag, Brian. Wave your flag.
Wave the flag.
Wave the flag.
Yes, sir.
Wave the flag. There you go.
That's everything you envisioned from Alvarado when you made that trade midseason. Everything.
You talked
a game like that.
But you said this. You said that exactly during the broadcast. It was the early stint for him, and I think you also got to give him credit for the stint when Brunson goes out in the third quarter, and the offense didn't crater. He stabilized the team. He brought the energy.
He helped them win the non-Brunson minutes.
Yep. You talked about him being a pest.
That's exactly what he was.
You had all of that. You had all of that here. This is what you got from me. In other words you used, I'm going to take another P word here. You said professionalism. You talked about him and Clarkson standing and being ready. Not the P word some people were thinking. If you thought I was thinking about another P word, come on, folks. Only Ryan. Okay, you're saying you never know. Okay.
Never know.
I got to keep the people on the edge of their seat.
I like it, thanks.
I'm glad you appreciate it, man.
You.
Anyway, Jose Alvarado, big time performance by him here. that should not be overlooked. I agree with you. I also got to talk about your guy, OG Anunoby.
I didn't think he'd have a big time offensive performance like this. But it helps when the Hawks have absolutely no size and Cat can find him under the basket again and again and again. You know what I mean?
The Hawks never found their footing in this game, and the Knicks did a good job of keeping them away from the basket. The Hawks have really found success in this series when they're getting downhill, and they weren't in this game until Kuminga was starting to get calls late in the fourth quarter. And what Atlanta needed to do was generate better looks inside. They kept settling for threes. The Knicks were forcing them to do that. They shot a poor game. Knicks had a great defensive game plan. So I think that's a big part of what we saw, too. Defensively, it's just making the Hawks uncomfortable on offense. They couldn't get into a lot of stuff. CJ McCollum wasn't his normal self. Nikhil woke up a little bit, but at the same time, it was kind of just not enough for that team. And the shooting that they got, that plays right into the Knicks' hands.
It does. I want to give a shout-out to somebody in the chat, and that is Terry Clark, 3973.
I told you Terry would
Terry Clark is a real one. Terry Clark is a Hawks fan, and he has shown up after all these games, win or lose. And I said, will he show up, Terry Clark?
I said he would show up.
He's a man of honor?
He's a man of honor. We got to give respect to Terry Clark. He said.
And I'm going to proclaim it, Terry, sorry, I appreciate your loyalty. Knicks will win the next 2 games.
Terry, you are welcome to respond to JJ however you want. He said, I'm here for the smoke. Post, he said, way to stand up. I respect Terry Clark for showing up.
You need it.
He did not run from the smoke.
Listen, when you're going to talk the smack, you got to be there. But then when your team gets their ass whooped, you got to be there too.
He showed up.
We had Pistons fans do the same thing last year.
That's true.
Also.
Pistons fans were cool during that series. Celtics fans,
not so much.
They acted like where they're from.
And Pacer fans, I think we had a couple that were cool, but for the most part,
Hawks fans, those
are more rival. Those are rivalries, legitimately though. Knicks Hawks isn't,
No, it's not.
It
almost became one at one point because of the Trae Young thing, but not really.
You mentioned, I would probably put the Pacers ¡1 on the rivalry.
Pacers, 100%.
And there's history behind it too.
Celtics, you might say, if you go back, the Boston-New York dynamic, you have that, but you haven't had a ton of great Celtic-Knick playoffs.
And there's been a lot of times where both teams have been good at the same time.
There's been a couple recent series because you had last year, you had 2013, which is
last year's good. It spices it up a little bit.
Now they play again this year. Now we're getting to the point where this is
we're starting to be coming back to it. Right. To JJ's point, there hasn't been a lot of times where both teams have been good. The Celtics weren't good for most of the 90s.
And beyond that, a lot has to happen for this to break right at this point. But if you get Knicks Pistons in the conference finals, then you could start talking about that as well.
Because you saw last year, no question.
Right.
All right, JJ, since we got you for a couple more minutes, I got to ask you this. This obviously was a big one. The Knicks had to win this game. Had to have it. They got it. I'm going to say this. I don't think the pressure's off. Because you can't relax on Tuesday night.
No, of course not.
100%.
No, listen.
You blow Tuesday, then
all bets are off. Then the Knicks are in a position that's even worse than the one that they were in going into this
100%.
game. They are the better team, though. And that's what I've noticed in watching the series for 4 games. The Knicks lost not 1, but 2 one-point games. They choked away Game 2. They were dominating Game 2. They won Game 1 convincingly. They won Game 4 convincingly.
Yep.
They should have won Game 2. They could have won Game 3.
Yep.
If the series keeps playing out the way that most of these games have played out, I think this is over in 6, guys. I really do.
Do you think we'll see Atlanta's best game at any point? Because that's sort of the other shoe for me. It's like Atlanta had a really good first half in that last game.
Atlanta's not played a complete game. That's fair.
Yeah.
But the problem they run into, in my opinion, Brian, their best is not as good as the Knicks' best. Mm-hmm. They're just not as talented. And you throw in the inexperience. They have a lot of inexperience on this team.
Comparatively,
Other than McCollum.
Other than CJ,
it's a lot of guys.
And Nikhil's played in a bunch of playoff games, too.
But
although not all in this role.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now, when you were expected to be one of the guys.
Yeah, right.
And I think for Atlanta, the best thing they have going for them is they can play free and loose. There's no pressure on them.
Yeah.
There's none.
Yeah.
None. But I'm gonna guess Knicks have a rockin' win in Game 5, and they'll win close in Game 6.
I could see that. They need that. They need that is what I
the only counter to all of this, guys, the Knicks never make anything easy. So take that for what it's worth.
That's why I'm kind of like...
It's like, but here's the thing. It wouldn't shock me if Game 5 was closer and there was some nervous energy at the Garden. Wouldn't shock me.
And the defense isn't as tight. You know what I mean? Like
they have to play desperate. They would have more desperate.
You don't want to be playing a 7th game in this series, though. You really don't.
You don't.
Especially knowing if we're looking ahead, and listen, Knicks fans should look ahead because the goal is to get to the NBA Finals, right? So you're thinking bigger picture. You're not just saying, hey, I want to beat the Atlanta Hawks and win round 1.
Right.
Boston more than likely is going to play a very swift series against Philadelphia.
Yeah.
I do not think that series is going more than 6 games. Therefore,
I
do you
agree.
want to be playing a 7th game do or die and then have to go and roll out of bed and play in 48 hours? And I know a lot of trends say, hey, your rhythm, you played. That'll wear on you. Maybe not in game 1, but it will wear on you later in the series.
Yeah, and honestly, this series is probably more taxing than the Boston-Philly series, even stylistically. Because with Philly, it's a lot of shooting, it's perimeter play. Like it's not as physical. Whereas in this series, for example, we've talked about the defensive matchups being thrown at Jalen Brunson. It's been a very physical series for him. OG had a hard fall today. Cat just got rammed into the back of the knee.
Brunson got beat up, the whole deal.
Yeah.
And we're going to go, guys. We have Mike Brown, and JJ's going to leave us because he's got to go
Well,
record
boys, listen, I'm
his show.
2-0, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm 2-0. So
You're 2-0. That means you got to come
I
back.
think that means for Knicks-Celtics series, you notice I'm already looking ahead to the Knicks-Celtics. I think we're going to have to do this again.
We'll call you for Knicks Celtics.
Yeah,
You are always welcome to come back.
Weekends are good.
Weekends, I told you. So Saturday Knicks Celtics series, we got you back.
Saturday,
Thank you,
Sunday.
All right, we're gonna go. We're gonna go to Mike
Appreciate it,
Brown
JJ.
real quick with the press. So let's see what Mike Brown say.
It's really good. But, offensively, in the second half, we had five second half turnovers. And that was big because they're a team that turns you over. And when they turn you over, they get out in transition. So taking care of the ball is good. Offensively as well, we talk about hitting the paint and spraying the basketball. And our guys were good. I mean, they had 16 sprays. That's the most we've had so far in these 4 games. And so we were able to get some good looks from the three-point line. And we got to keep making sure that when we do touch the paint, we play off a 2 and we either finish or we play off a 2 and spray the ball the right way. And sometimes that may create a second drive for us. And then, one of the things that we track are the 50-50 balls, and that gives us a barometer at times of how into the game we are. And, we won the 50-50 ball battle 11-19. So good win by our guys tonight.
Mike, I know when you came to this job, you wanted your team to play faster, and I know that didn't necessarily play out how you wanted, but it felt like in this game there was a little bit more oomph in the open floor. It felt like the half-court offense was even a little bit quicker decision. Did you like what you saw just in terms of the pace you guys played with in that first half specifically?
Yeah, I mean, we have to play faster. We still have to play faster, not just in the full court, but in the front court as well. It's a big concept of ours offensively. So our pace has to be there, but it was pretty good tonight.
Mike, was the adjustment today to make a concerted effort, to run offense through Cat as that playmaker? Obviously, he had a triple-double today. He was at the top of the key, finding guys on cuts. Just what did you see from that? And was that the lever that I guess you pulled for the game?
Yeah, we're just trying to find different ways to get Cat the ball. And, obviously one of the ways is playing through the elbow. He had a couple of post-ups. And so trying to move him around. Whether he's at the top of the floor, at the elbow, or on the block, but trying to move him around so he can get a few more touches throughout the course of the game.
Mike, I think you mentioned physicality right away.
Yeah.
I think Josh in the second quarter just kind of ripped the ball from guys a couple times. Kind of what you saw, his effort in that quarter to kind of, as you guys opened things up.
Yeah, Josh was really good on the ball. Josh he's got quick feet. He's strong, and when he gets locked in, he's locked in. And, his defensive activity, especially when it comes to ball pressure, was fabulous tonight. He was really, really, really good on the ball, and we needed every ounce of it.
When Jalen struggles with his shot and turns the ball over a little bit, how positive is it, to have 2 guys like Cat and OG to kind of handle some of the scoring load and pick up some of that load?
It's at the end of the day, it's why it's a team game. Sometimes guys like him can struggle, but the one thing that he continued to do, they got to pay attention to him. They sent double teams at him, which gave other guys wide open looks. And, he set good screens. So he's no matter who it is, if Cat's struggling, he's got to find other ways to help us win. If Jalen's struggling to shoot it, he's got to find other ways to help us win. If OG's struggling to shoot it or not getting enough touches, Mikal, whoever it is, they just got to keep trying to find different ways to help us win. And like I said, Jalen did. He created double teams, which, and a couple of them got some wide open looks. If they want to keep doubling, we got to make sure we knock the shot down. He set great screens, so we got to keep doing those little things when we're not shooting the ball, at the highest level, and Jalen did that tonight.
Hey, Mike, what did you think of Josh's defense on CJ, and also kind of what led into that switch coming into this game?
I mean, he didn't guard. Josh guarded Jalen Johnson some too. So we just wanted to move Josh around. But Josh is, his ball pressure is good. Like I said, he's strong. He's got pretty good feet. He's got long arms, and he locks into the ball, and so he's able to get some deflections without fouling because of his long arms. And CJ's a handful, so we just got to keep trying to find ways to show him different looks, which means different guys have to guard him at different times.
Mike, you mentioned the 7 fast break points allowed until like 43 minutes into the game when Dyson had that layup. It was at 0, so
Yeah.
basically all in garbage time. What allowed you guys specifically to be so effective defending in
Players in that
transition?
locker room, we didn't change anything, and with our defense in transition, our rules are still the same. We just got back, and in the second half, also what helps out is when you have some bad turnovers, that team really thrives off of them, and they get out and they run. And in our turnovers, we're decent turnovers, and then we only had 5 in the second half, so that helped limit their transition.
What do you mean by decent turnovers?
So if I'm dribbling the ball on the right wing, and I see Ian over there, right, and I throw it here, and they jump the passing lane, nobody can get back. Does that make sense? If I dribble the ball up the floor and I'm along the baseline and I travel, it's a dead ball turnover, so we go back and set up defense. So live ball turnovers when the floor is not balanced the right way is what can kill you against that team. And we did a pretty good job of not having many of those.
Mike, it might not show up in the stat sheet, but Alvarado's energy was very infectious tonight. Can you talk about his impact for the team and on the team?
No, he was huge, and he hit 2 big threes. He's the guy that they're going to leave open, and he works very hard on his three-point shooting, and he took the right shots tonight. And then defensively, he tried to be a pest. And so, what he did out on the floor for us gave us a huge lift, especially when Jalen was out.
And Mike, was the plan like from the bat, just we're going to go through Cat? Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, Steph.
We're going to go through Cat, or was it seeing what they were doing with Jalen and doubling him and stuff like that? Like, why that adjustment? Where did that come from?
So we just switched our early offense up, and with us switching our early offense up the way we did, it happened to fall into his hands quite a bit. So I'll explain to you off the record one of these times, but we didn't. Our early offense is still equal opportunity, but it gives us the way we switched it up gives us a better chance to get to our second action, if that makes sense to a certain degree. Okay.
All right. Do 2 more.
Mike, you kept the starting lineup intact. What did you see from that unit? And Mikal sat again most of the second half. I guess what went into that decision as well.
We've won a lot of games with the starting group, and so I didn't want to panic and just change anything. Obviously we changed some stuff strategy-wise, but I didn't want to change anything with the starting group because I didn't feel a need to. And then at the end of the day, I just felt that Deuce had it rolling, and they were going to double Jalen, and when they did, Deuce hit some big threes, and so if a guy has it rolling, he may have a chance to stay out on the floor. That's all that was.
Mike, you had a couple of offensive possessions where all 5 guys touched the ball. You had a couple. In the laboratory of your mind, is that what your ideal is for when this team is really humming?
Yes, and the first thing we want to do, we want to play with pace. Or just conceptually, what is beautiful to me is when you play with pace, you have great spacing. You start with a ball reversal. You touch the paint. When you touch the paint, First of all, when you reverse the ball, the defense does that. Then when you touch the paint, the defense does this. And then the fifth thing is every decision we make is quick. And if we could do those things, even if all 5 guys don't touch it, I'm a happy camper because we're probably going to get a good shot.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right, we are back. You heard from head coach Mike Brown. Some really interesting stuff for me. You knew he was going to get asked about the starting lineup or the decision not to change things in the starting lineup. You knew he was going to get asked about Mikal Bridges, only playing 19 minutes in this one. I thought his answer to this was really good. He said, look, with the starting lineup, we've won a lot with the starting group. I don't want to panic and just change anything. His reason for not making change to starting lineup. I thought he should have made a change, okay? But I also said if he's going to make the change, I thought he had to have a short leash with Mikal Bridges. Now, Mikal Bridges was not terrible today. He was 3-4 from the field, 8. He did disappear, as we talked with JJ about, and he took one shot after his 3-for-3 start. But honestly, guys, we know the Mikal Bridges experience. Would I like more? Yes. I also would have liked to date with Beyonce years ago. You know what I mean? But like some things don't happen. You understand what it is. So, you know, you get what it is. It doesn't happen. On playing Bridges, he said, I felt Deuce had it rolling, and if a guy had it rolling, he's got a chance to stay on the floor. This is a thing I don't think Mike Brown gets enough credit for.
Yeah.
He has had a good job of having feel for guys at a certain time.
Yeah.
And he's been adaptable.
Yeah.
We got to give him credit. You guys screamed about the lineups. I thought the timeout thing was the most egregious thing in the game too, but I thought the lineups mattered at certain times, Brian. But he made adjustments to his lineup today. I liked how he managed his lineup. This is probably more of what we see going forward. We got to give coaches chances to grow. You can grow as a coach even within a series. Has Quinn Snyder made more adjustments to him in the series? Absolutely.
And I'm sure he will for game
I'm sure
5.
Quinn Snyder will have more adjustments, and Mike Brown's going to have to be ready.
More,
but I like the way Mike Brown managed the lineup. But more importantly than all of that, I like the way the players executed. Because that's what matters the most at the end of the day.
Yep.
The players executed in a game where their all-star and all-NBA player was not good again in the series. Jalen Brunson has not been good in this series. He's been good. The biggest thing in this game was, and the Knicks can win games when Jalen Brunson doesn't shoot good, but the biggest thing was the defense. And Mike Brown also talked about the transition defense, Brian. He said, look, he limited their transition points, and I thought he's right about this, spot on. The Knicks in this game, and they had some sloppy moments, and Jalen Brunson had 6 turnovers, and that's one of the big criticisms I have. Knicks had 14 turnovers in this one. They only had 5 in the second half after having 9 in the first half. So they cut down on the turnovers. That was huge. But I think to win another game where Jalen Brunson does not shoot the ball well and was sloppy with the ball is big. And it's because we said this before the playoffs. Other guys have to do their jobs. And you know what the other guys did? Their jobs.
Yeah.
Basketball's a beautiful game. And there's beautiful complexions and complex actions in it and different stuff. But sometimes it's not that deep, and everything in sports comes down to execution. So y'all could have gotten to this person needs to do this. They defended better. You know, Josh Hart, he talked about Josh Hart's defense on C.J. McCollum. Josh Hart, when he switched on him,
not
and
just
Jalen
him
Johnson.
either, yeah.
Josh Hart was good in this game. You know, he didn't give me that 10th rebound for the double-double and all the stuff. Josh Hart is a guy you trust in big games.
Correct, 100%.
16-game player.
OG Anunoby.
OG Anunoby's another one.
Yep.
Trust him in a big game to come up. I've seen Cat do it in big games like he did today. Cat did it today. The Knicks have the talent. They have the guys. This season's just been so up and down where you're like, you don't know what you're going to get. This team is capable of playing like this over the next 2 games and closing the series out. They're also capable of shitting the bed.
They're still capable of losing the series.
Terry Clark would say that in the chat.
Yeah. 0 fast break points allowed basically the entire
crazy.
game until the end.
It's a crazy stat.
43 minutes of the game. And that's really the key, right? It's the main thing, because a lot of you guys, and rightfully so, because it's the thing that jumps out the most when you're watching. Like, a lot of people will point to, this needs to happen on offense, this needs to happen on offense. And we always point to defense first as it relates to this team and this roster. Because if you're going to raise your floor as a team, this collection of guys specifically, their defense needs to be on point. That's why you said before the series, what was your prediction? They'd be a top 10 defense this year. And if they're a top 10 defense, then they could actually
contend.
They could actually contend, establish themselves as a contender. Well, that happened, even with the inconsistencies and whatnot. And even though they did, yes, they finally beat up on bad teams, but they also beat a lot of good teams throughout the season because of their defense.
And they played like a top 10 defense, or top 7 defense, if you want to say tonight.
With the Spurs, it was defense. And I'm not talking about the Cup game. I'm talking about the game where they smacked them in the Garden. Like, that was a defensive-led effort. Boston, Philly multiple times, Houston in that comeback, specifically in the fourth quarter. Defense wasn't great until the fourth quarter. But all these different wins that we've talked about, they were competitive against OKC because of their defense. And today, they were on point with their rotations, with their assignments, and the main thing was forcing Atlanta to take tough shot after tough shot after tough shot. Atlanta doesn't want to settle for all the threes that they took in this game. They're really finding success when they're getting downhill. That's why that they were able to come back in game 2. You put in Jonathan Kuminga instead of Dyson Daniels, because now you have a lineup of 5 guys who could attack the basket. In Jonathan Kuminga, in CJ McCollum, Onyeka Okongwu, Jalen Johnson, and CJ McCollum. Like, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. You have all these different guys who could attack the basket. But today, the Knicks were forcing them to settle for bad shot after bad shot. Atlanta finishes this game 10 of 41 from 3. 10 of 41 from 3, but the bigger thing to me, Dex, is that half of their field goal attempts came from 3. When they've had success in this series and when they came back in game 2, they abandoned the three-point shot in the second half. Because I pointed it out during the game, and I'll do it again now. 49% of their field goal attempts came from 3 in game 2 during the first half, talking about Atlanta. Then in the second half, it was down to 27%. And in that fourth quarter, when they came back against the Knicks, 3 three-point attempts that entire quarter. So when they've been firing, it's not just three-point shooting. Even though it was better last game, they get to the basket. This game, they couldn't get to the basket. Like, that was the difference to me. And the Knicks were not letting them to get out in transition. That was the other thing. So you didn't see Atlanta get a lot of easy points either. So the defense, before anything else, won the game. And obviously, we talked about Cat at the top of this. How could you not? Best game that he's played in this series so far. It's not even just a triple-double, because you and I agree triple-doubles are not all created equal. Like, some triple-doubles could just be overrated because you had a lot of usage. But Cat was decisive. He was reading the floor well. Great. They were cutting. They were screening very well, and he was reading those cuts. OG Anunoby was getting easy looks at the basket. Others, too. It was primarily OG, it felt like. And they just kept getting beat, Atlanta. They just kept getting beat by that backdoor cut over and over and over again because of the screening that the Knicks were doing. So Cat had a great floor game. He was efficient with his touches. Not about the shot attempts. He was efficient with his touches. He only had 10 attempts in the game, but he dominated in this game, and he was even holding up defensively as well.
Yeah, he was. Cat was great. Cat was great. A great game is not always scoring 30 points. This was a real triple-double. I like that. I remember when people went crazy over that Memphis triple-double. This was real. The usage was great. I hope people can look at this game and understand that how he gets his touches, where he gets his touches, and then the word you use, decisive. How decisive he was when he was putting the ball on the floor, passing, deciding to shoot. Cat was decisive. Cat came up again big in the big game. And that's what you need, because every night, there's some series, depending on the matchup and the length that can be thrown at it, some people are going to kill Jalen Brunson. I already see some of you guys in the chat. And I get it. Some people they don't like how Brunson plays. There becomes this narratives about he's selfish and all this other stuff, which when you think about it, like The Athletic has done a survey the last couple of years, and Brunson's been highly ranked as one of the best leaders in the game. Right? And so
the NBA GMs
have said this.
Yeah, the NBA GMs.
And people who know the sport and are around the sport rank him highly as a leader. So when I hear from fans who are nowhere near the sport and are just judging from watching games on TV and aren't in the locker room or don't ever talk to him and all this stuff and say that, I'm like, I say respectfully, you don't know what you're talking about because you're just not there. And the people who are there and say this say he's a good leader. Being a good leader is one thing. His play style sometimes, I've been critical of that. We did not like the shot selection in this game. Haven't liked the shot selection for most of these games that we've seen.
You want the stat?
That doesn't mean, we'll get to that in 1 second. That doesn't mean, just to be clear, I don't think Jalen Brunson's a good player. I've also seen Jalen Brunson figure it out more than that. This actually just may not be a series for him.
which we talked about.
We talked about that.
Yeah.
And some of y'all looked at our film breakdown, was like, y'all are hating on Jalen Brunson. He's going to cook Dyson Daniels. And we wasn't saying Dyson Daniels was just going to lock him down. We just said, hey, the Hawks have a lot of interesting ways they could defend him. Brian and I talked about this at the top of this playoff series and was like, this is one of the things we should look at in film because the Hawks have a lot of things they could throw at him. This just may not be a series for Jalen Brunson. Now, can he be better? Can he pass the ball? The thing you can't have, the shooting doesn't even bother me as much tonight as the turnovers. Turnovers were terrible. You're the point guard, you have to take care of the ball. Jalen Brunson knows that. The entire team knows that. That's fine. Jalen Brunson is never going to turn into John Stockton or Chris Paul. He's not going to be that guy. Some of you want him to be that guy. It's not going to happen. But he can be better than what he is today. He's got to figure it out. And the shot selection's got to be better. And taking care of the ball has got to be better. Thankfully, the rest of his teammates were so good that it did not matter. There's going to be another game in the playoffs where Jalen Brunson doesn't have it. Hopefully down the road against another opponent. Hopefully not in Game 5. But other guys have to step up. Now, has he been good this series? Absolutely, positively not. And the numbers, give it to us, Brian, the numbers ain't good.
Since the first quarter in Game 1, we have updated the Jalen Brunson tracker. Since the first quarter of Game 1 where he went absolutely crazy, he is 29 of 78 from the field. He is shooting 37% from the field, basically in the last 15 quarters of this series. Today was 7 of 18. We remember because we were talking about this during the game. He was 3 for 10 in the first quarter. And they've made him work. Basically what we said before the series in our film breakdown. It's Nickeil Alexander-Walker. It's Jonathan Kuminga. It's Dyson Daniels. It's Jalen Johnson. It's Onyeka Okongwu. It's all these guys. Like, whoever gets matched up with him, some more than others. It's been more Dyson Daniels these last couple of games. But it's been a difficult matchup for him. This is why you need to be a little bit more cat-centric, but not in an overly predictable way. And this is also why you need OG Anunoby to play the way he's been playing. I think he's going to be unsung for a lot of people because a lot of Cat's been a lightning rod for a lot of Knicks fans and a lot of Knicks media for this series. But OG now back-to-back games has been just awesome in terms of the shot making. I mean, his shots nearly won you that last game because of what he did in the fourth quarter. He winds up with 22 and 10 rebounds. So just quietly.
He's been great on the glass in the series.
Yeah, quietly pulls down 10 rebounds again. He's been great. He's their best two-way player. He's their high-level role player. He's been as advertised. And, these are the kinds of things you need. And we also talked about the bench contributions. Deuce McBride got into a rhythm late. Some of his points were kind of in garbage time, but he looked pretty good. Jose was a tone setter, was a stabilizer for them, and was one of the big reasons why they won those non-Brunson minutes.
Huge. I think he's the reason.
Yeah, him and Cat.
I think the fact you were able to play him in lineups where they actually had that first lineup that we saw to start the second quarter, where it was him, Bridges, Cat, Deuce, and Clarkson.
Clarkson was out there.
Were on the floor. And before they then brought back in OG and it was good, and that unit got stabilized. Even when Atlanta made a little push, they were fine. I think Clark Alvarado was a huge part of that.
Yeah.
I loved it. And I think Deuce, you got to be encouraged about the way he shot the ball. I know he only had one field goal attempt at halftime. And then he ended up getting up seven shots, and he was 0 of 1. He finishes 4 of 7 and 3 of 6 from downtown. So you liked what he did, turn around. He's been shooting the ball better. Shamit out the rotation. Only 3 minutes tonight, played in garbage time. I found that interesting. But this is what you asked for. For all the Mike Brown critics out there, and then we'll get to questions and stuff in the comments. For all the Mike Brown critics out there, you gotta give a man credit when he's making adjustments. And we're gonna go to postgame because Kat is at the podium here. So we're gonna jump in 1 second. But what I'll say is, you gotta give a man credit when he's made adjustments. He changed up the lineup today. He did not stay rigid to one thing. He's been like that throughout the whole season.
Loves that Gatorade flavor.
And I love it. Cat's still on the Gatorade that he was last time. But hey, let's do this. Let's go to the postgame presser where we have the MVP of the game for the New York Knicks in Game 4. That is Karl-Anthony Towns, 20 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists with a triple-double. Let's hear what he had to say.
storms and being the ones to initiate physicality today. That's a great team over there, very well coached team. So we understood that in a pivotal game like tonight, we needed to be our best. I thought we not only met the challenge, but we exceeded the expectation in the moment, and that's what you expect a team that has experience like us to do.
Carl, kind of seemed like you were just making every right read, pumping and driving to the hoop or facilitating from the elbow, whatever it was. Like, do you feel like you can get in a decision-making hot streak? Is that a thing?
Yeah, I thought today, good observation. I think that the difference from me today than other days, and I felt I did a good job playmaking this series, was instead of trying to lead people to a spot, I just passed it to where they were and let them make the decision. And I thought that helped me a lot today, getting my teammates the ball earlier and allowing them to make a decision and then, convert on those plays. So just being aggressive in playmaking and, trying to be playing quarterback at those spots when I got the ball.
Carl, so much of conversation around the Knicks when you guys lose is how much or how little you are utilized. So coming into today, was it an emphasis of yours, or did it come from the coaching staff that you were going to be a hub offensively and be able to make decisions? Where did that adjustment come from? Did that game plan, or did you see that?
No. I just feel like opportunities presented themselves, and my teammates, made it happen today. They made great cuts and allowed me to make those plays you guys are talking about and play make. So it's a shout out to my teammates making great moves to the basket and allowing me to utilize my skill.
Carl, I think Josh started out a lot on CJ. I'm just wanting to know, what kind of a lift did he give you guys in that first quarter when it was important for you guys to start out strong on the road?
I mean, Josh was special. I think everybody was special. And honestly, too, shout out to Mikal. I mean, he did a great job of getting us going early and bringing that energy and that spark that was needed. And, who knows where our team would be tonight if it wasn't for him bringing that kind of spark early in the game. It got us going. It got us understanding the tenacity we needed to play with. And we kind of rode that momentum throughout the rest of the game.
You talked about that tenacity and...
We don't got another Gatorade for him? Gatorade 5, bro. My bad. Don't worry about that.
Carl, you talked about that tenacity and sense of desperation you guys played with. How do you bottle that up and continue it, now that you're no longer behind in the series almost?
I mean, experience teaches you a lot. I mean, just because we won one game, playoffs is always, you win a game, you're the best team in the world, highs to highs, and then when you lose, you're the low and the worst team ever. So just staying on the wave, being in that middle ground, and just consistently trying to find ways to get better and improve as the series goes along. Next game is going to be the most important game, the most desperation we need to present to the fans and to ourselves, and it's going to be important for us to protect home court, especially with our fans in our home.
Kat, speaking of the fans, could you feel the Knicks fans tonight?
I mean,
the atmosphere?
Knicks fans travel all around the world. It's even more special. I already knew how special the Knicks fans were from last year, but to be going to Abu Dhabi in preseason and see the stadium packed with Knicks fans is crazy. So they travel around the world. They bring us so much love and energy and just passion that you could just feel that kind of passion in the building, and it helps us feel like every game we play, no matter if it's away or in Abu Dhabi, around the world, it's a home game.
One question for each of y'all, starting with OG. Just first, what did you like about the team's response after those two tough losses that you guys came off of?
Just our intensity. We came out, we were physical from the start. We got stops, and then ran on offense, moved the ball. Guys were hitting shots, and it's just the energy. It was really infectious.
And then, Kat, just with all the assists, I'm wondering what's the feeling for you when you're able to find somebody with one of those passes and they're able to convert, and then you start to look up and you see the assist count going 1, 2, 4, 6, 10.
I mean, I don't know if I was looking up for that, but just to see my teammates being special and to be able to get them involved is something I truly enjoy, even more than hitting a shot. Just to see people like OG consistently making the right read on the cut and back door, whatever the case may be against the defense, and doing something special is, it brings me joy and it brings me the most energy back.
OJ, can you talk about Can you talk about what it's like to play with a guy like that who's able to see you when you're moving, maybe read where you're going and get you in those places time after time?
I mean, he's a special talent, you know. He can do it all. And I know if I get open, he'll find me. No matter how tight the window is, he'll be able to find me. And, you know, it's amazing playing with a player like him.
Kat, as you guys head back to New York for Game 5, every game, of course, has presented a new challenge. What do you think will be some keys to Game 5 to coming out with a victory?
I mean, we got to exceed the desperation, the intensity we had today. You know, it's going to be very important for us to execute even at a higher level. You know, they're going to make adjustments. They got a great coaching staff over there, a great head coach. You know, they're going to make adjustments. They're going to come back with even better game plan, and we have to be able to counteract that game plan. So these 2 days are going to be very important.
Yeah. These are kind of performances where you can practice and really hold it on just because the playmaking ability that he has and stuff that you showed today.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, he's been a big inspiration in my life. And to be able to have this moment is great, but it's more important that be able to have this moment with this team and my teammates and these brothers in this locker room. It means a lot. And you know, like magic, I always talk about impact and winning, and to be able to amplify my teammates is one of the greatest honors I could have.
All right, we're going to do one more Cat and then two more OG.
Kat, I know you're in the middle of a tough playoff series, but your good friend Nikhil was awarded Most Improved Player yesterday. Just wondering if you had some thoughts and comments on that, knowing you played with him, of course, in Minnesota.
I mean, Keel's special. I've always known how special Keel was, and to be able to see a team welcome, you know, his talent and allow him to use all of his talent and feel at home, it's really special. And you know, obviously, honored that I was be able to play with him in Minnesota, and that the world was able to get a glimpse of what he could do and the impact he could make on a team, especially in the playoffs. But for him to be here, to be welcomed by the fans, by the organization, and allow him to be him at a full picture is something special. He's an amazing player, even better person, an amazing family. He's an amazing father. I've been able to see that firsthand. It's one of the biggest honors I've ever had in my life. So shout out to him. He deserves that award, and he's worked his whole entire life to prove to the fans of the NBA and to not only that, to himself, that he is truly the player he thinks he is. And I've always told him, and I've always known that the player that he thinks he is exactly who he is, but even more. And I'm so happy that that award shows all the work that he's put in and all the trials and tribulations he's went through to get to this point was worth it.
All right, thanks, Scott.
Yeah.
Hey, OG, I mean, we all see your shooting. Obviously, you're shooting at a very high level, but I'm just curious, the rebounding numbers have been pretty high this series. Is that a concerted effort by you to do more there, or is it just happenstance?
I mean, it's a team effort for sure. We want to control the boards, and then just depending on who I'm guarding. When I'm on the perimeter, sometimes it's harder to get rebounds, but I'm making an emphasis on coming in, crashing the boards, help the team finish possessions.
OG, just with you know your shooting the last couple of games, what have you liked about the looks that you're getting?
Just shooting, no matter if I'm contested, if I'm not contested. You know, I work very hard on my game, so I always think it's going in.
OG, Josh has been.
Last one, guys.
Josh has been especially aggressive and especially good guarding the point of attack in this series, whether it's CJ, whether it's Jalen Johnson. A lot of the time, you're like the low man in that situation. When he's that aggressive and that successful being aggressive at the point of attack, how does that affect the way that you operate on the back end?
It makes it easier because it gives me more time to rotate towards the rim and then also make a read on if he's going to pick up his dribble, if the ball handler's going to pick up his dribble, or if he's going to the rim like full speed because Josh is pressuring him. So it just makes it easier what to do. And, you know, like you said, he's doing an amazing job being physical, getting into the ball, speeding guys up, and that's what he does.
All right, guys. Thank you.
All right, James, come in here, guys. All right.
All right, we heard from Karl-Anthony Towns and OG Anunoby. Some interesting stuff there. Cat talking about the physicality to start the game, about him doing a great job of playmaking, which we talked about, the cutting. But he gave a lot of credit to his teammates.
He should.
A lot, as he should, because you
You
don't
get assists if they don't cut and make
and they make the baskets.
Yeah.
A lot has to happen. He has to be a willing passer, but you got to cut and make the baskets.
Right.
He gave Mikal Bridges a shout out, which I found interesting.
Yeah.
And I don't think it was an unfair shout out. He said Mikal did a great job early of giving us that energy we needed, particularly on the defensive end. He's not wrong about that. He said, who knows where our team would be if he didn't bring that energy early? And I take that two ways. One, I think he's saying something that was true because Mikal was good early defensively and offensively. Early. He did his disappearing act. But it's also trying to help build up the confidence of your teammate.
Yes. That's what I took it more so as.
And leadership comes,
which is good.
It's good. You want that.
Yeah.
Leadership comes in many different forms. It comes from different people on the team.
He plays 19 minutes. You want to make sure he's still.
Yeah.
You're gonna
he only played 4 minutes in the second half.
Listen.
Right.
Early on in the series, we were talking about how well he defended Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Like, to pull this series out, you're probably going to need another big contribution from him. Because again, this team is going to need it from everybody. You don't have a Nikola Jokic.
Right.
You know what I mean? Where one guy could just kind of. And by the way, the NBA is like. The way it's built now and balanced now, you can't just win off of one guy anymore as it is.
You can't do it. It's such a balanced league.
Yeah.
So some good stuff from him. OG, who's usually a quiet guy, did talk about his process and how he was able to play off a Cat, liking their intensity, the physicality. So those are two words you saw a lot. But look, this we'll say before we get to comments. This game is going to come. The Knicks' back was against the wall, and they responded like they should. They responded.
Cat talked about that too.
But
they need to
keep that desperation. He used the desperation word. They need to keep that desperation word.
He said exceed it.
Exceed
the desperation that Atlanta is going to have. That they had for this.
He's right, because Atlanta's going to come in knowing they don't want to go back home down 3-2.
Right.
They don't want to know that their only chance is in a Game 7.
Yeah. Even though this is house money for them in terms of what the media narrative may be, but they want to win the series.
Right. We look at all the stuff with the Game 3. Game 5 is a swing game, too. It's a big game, especially at home. I think the Knicks have to come out with the right intensity. We'll wrap on that. But I thought the guys talking about that and Cat talking about that, this team seems to have responded well. But here's the thing. They backed up their talk and said what they would do in this game and what they needed to do. And Deuce McBride talked before this game, they're fighting for their lives. But now you got to go do it again. And the big word I take out of this is trust. And I saw somebody mention in the chat, and I thought they were right.
Yeah.
They trusted the process. No Sixers. They trusted the process, and they stuck with it, and they got it done. They played
JM300.
Yeah, shout out to JM300.
Yeah.
He's right. And he also said that Jalen Brunson is great. He needs to trust his team a little bit more. You're not wrong about that when you see certain things in the shot selection. He's got to trust the process, too, even when it's not going for him. Right? And listen, he didn't take as many shots tonight. I didn't love the shot selection all the time. It's the turnovers. Terrible.
Yeah.
I'll harp on that again. But if this team trusts in the process and sees this is how we can win, it's not going to be a complete rinse and repeat because Atlanta's going to make some adjustments.
100%.
But at least you can say, yo, when things get tight, we do this, we can close better. We can execute better. We can adjust to more things. Mike Brown made his adjustments. Quinn Snyder's going to make his adjustments. But the players still got to execute. So I was glad to see the players execute better in this one. Thank you for everybody for watching with us on this New York Got Game Knicks post-game show. Knicks with a win over the Hawks, 114-98. A fantastic win for them. Let's look at some of the comments that we had in here. A lot of you guys were checking in. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. A lot of you guys had good stuff. A lot of you guys are talking about Jalen Brunson. And I know, I'm just going back here. I know we will go into Jalen Brunson. You know, the team could be better without him. All this other stuff. DJ Creole says no Cat, no rings. Look, man.
I don't know if you're getting a ring, period. Just let's worry about the first round first. But I get the sentiment.
Cat's important to what this team does.
Correct. we have a long way to go before we could talk about rings with this group, the way the East is, the chaos, and yeah, it's just,
Cat's important to what this team does.
You need, and we said this would be the series for Cat too. If we're look ahead to even Boston, his role might be a little bit different, but we can talk about that when we get there, and outline that. I do think Cat is obviously very important in this series, and we felt like this would be a better series for him than Jalen, and so far, that has played out, especially today. You really saw it today, and it's matchup dependent. Like Atlanta just doesn't have a lot of answers for Cat. They have a lot of answers for slowing down Jalen Brunson and forcing difficult shots. And has he missed a handful of shots that he probably would make more often? Sure,
absolutely.
But you still don't want him to have to take all those shots if the process, going back to what you were saying, is better. Leah Sim 08 says Clarkson locked down Kuminga. That's a fact. He was not alone.
Nope.
Kuminga was neutralized. He was forced to take a lot of threes, Leah, and I think that was another thing that they did really well, is the guys who want to get downhill, they just forced them to take shots in the perimeter. And what Atlanta was doing well against the Knicks earlier in the series and forcing them, game 2 especially, toward the end, forcing them to take shots late in the clock. The Knicks were doing that a lot today. The Knicks were forcing Atlanta to take shots
late in the clock.
5, 4, 3, just tough shots late in the clock. Whenever you're shooting late in the clock, they're usually contested. It's a step back 3 that you don't really want to take. It's somebody taking the shot who you don't really want to take that shot. So I think they did a really good job. But yes, Jordan Clarkson's defensive energy, as we've talked about, has been a constant. It's been a surprise for a lot of people, but it's been a pretty consistent thing for a while now. So that's a good shout out.
Yeah, no, he's been really good for the Knicks. I think you have to like what they got off the bench in totality in this game. I know we talked about Jose Alvarado, but I thought, and then Leah was talking about the fact that Clarkson locked down Kuminga, but his defense has been really good throughout the season. Got to give a shout out to our guy East Blue Drew, who's in here. He says, shout out Rick Brunson, beat up your kids, beat your kids, people. I'm not saying y'all should beat the kids, but sometimes you need some tough love, right? Sometimes you need some tough love, and there's nothing wrong with a little tough love, and the Knicks gave some tough love in this one. The Knicks gave some tough love in this one. So shout out to East Blue Drew in the building. Always good to see you here on the chat there. Yeah, listen, some people may look, I didn't look at that in the game. Tell me if I'm wrong on this, Brian. I didn't look at that when I saw that during the game. It was like, oh man, like something's wrong there.
No.
Everybody's competitive in that, and I'm sure Rick was telling him that he's been sloppy with the ball and the shot selection, everything.
I still argue with my dad sometimes. You know what I mean? Like,
and you don't work with your dad every day.
Right.
Imagine if you worked with it.
I don't even live with him anymore. You know what I mean? Yeah. I still, we still go at it. I grew up arguing with my father. You know what I'm saying?
Arguing with that. You seem like you grew up arguing with everybody.
It's just, it's a thing. You know what I'm saying? It's a thing with us.
He got that Jose Alvarado in him. Is what he's saying.
That's nothing to me. I grew up arguing with my dad, because I was a little smart ass who, whatever. But
you still are.
Yeah, thank you. That wasn't shit to me. If I go back a little earlier, because we had a couple, Smooth Will said peace, Smooth Will. Also said they showed what they were made of tonight. They must continue this momentum.
I agree.
Showing what they made of is like a very important point, because this could have gone in a different direction, and we would have had a much different conversation and tone. And so when you guys have and he said that he gained more respect for Rick Brunson tonight. The team needed his tongue lashing of his son, if that's what it was.
Listen,
I'm not even sure what the context of it was.
But listen, I don't know if anybody's more equipped on their coaching staff to go and tell Jalen Brunson something than his dad. And you saw him, tough conversations sometimes need to happen in workplaces. People need to be better. And
even with family.
Rick Brunson knows his son has been not good this series. Jalen Brunson knows that himself. Now he's got to go out and execute it. And I'm willing to say this is probably not a series for him. Every series is not for every player, but what great teams can do is they've got the other guys doing the job, they can get it done. I'm not watching the Denver Nuggets and Minnesota Timberwolves game going on right now, but Nikola Jokic is not having himself a great series, and he's the best player in the world. He's having a terrible series. Rudy Gobert, Brian's boy, has been locking him down.
He's not my boy. He's been playing better tonight, though. Jokic is playing better
So
tonight. I'll say that much.
these things happen.
Yeah.
Best players on teams have bad series against certain matchups. It doesn't work for them. It happens. Would it shock me if the Knicks got to the next round, the Knicks played Boston and Brunson is much better series there? No, it would shock me. This is why you can't go that crazy. Series are long. The NBA playoffs, the league is, you've been saying this all through the playoffs, the league is more balanced than it's ever been.
Yeah.
We are seeing that here in the playoffs. Detroit just lost again today.
We've seen it for years, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, so it's like, but I think people still look at the things in like the 80s, 90s, early 2000 lens.
We're conditioned to think like the best, because we were told forever, like even Zach Loso says the NBA is it's the most predictable major league. And
Is
I'm
it
like,
anymore?
that's changed.
It's-
I think we're past that.
Yeah, I think there's
we've had multiple this decade. We've had multiple 5 seeds make it to the finals.
No
we had
repeat
8
champions.
seeds made it to the finals. No repeat champions. Like, I don't think it's if it was that predictable, then I mean Jokic would just win every year. OKC, and OKC could win again this year, but like it's not what it used to be. Like, we always, and lately we've been getting at least a surprise team in the finals. Indiana, Dallas, Miami, like it just tends to happen. So
I think people get into these things that are said around sports and it's been repeated for so long that they're not watching and seeing when the thing shifts from being true, what used to be true. You know, we've heard all these things. I remember back when it was like, you can't win with a jump shooting team. The Warriors disproved that, right? Or you can't win with a scoring point guard. A couple of players have disproved that, including Steph Curry. These things, nothing has to be true the whole time. Things evolve. Sports evolves. Sports changes. The NBA's evolved. And it's a different league. So I say this respectfully to everybody, forget what you knew. Sometimes it doesn't matter. What you knew that happened in the 80s, doesn't matter. It's a different game. The league is different. It is more balanced. I'm good on that.
Yeah.
That's why I knew you were going to say the same thing. So you know, that is good.
Anthony Edwards got help to the locker room, by the way, speaking of that. And Dante DiVincenzo.
I saw that. Somebody said Dante DiVincenzo might have an Achilles injury.
So his knee, he left because of a knee. At least that's what it was called. I don't know how bad it was, but not ideal.
Park Alfred says we will win in 6. Thanks again to Cat, OG Mitch, and Jordan Clarkson. Watch. Look, Knicks fans, I get the confidence is back. The Knicks still got to show the same energy and take the lead in the series. Again, you got to regain the lead and get back up 3-2. I understand the confidence. Regain the lead, go down to Atlanta and close it out in 6. I understand the confidence. I think Atlanta's going to have something to say. As Terry Clark said the other day, playing off the quote of the great 3 Stacks from Outkast.
Pastor Troy performed today, didn't he? Damn.
He did. So 0-1 when Pastor Troy performs. So there we go.
Like Pastor Troy.
JM30 said, not great in this series. Talking about Brunson, I agree in my opinion. Cat is the best Knick in the series. Yeah, we thought he could be, and he has been.
He has been.
OG makes a push argument,
I was
strong
gonna say,
argument for him.
OG's giving him a rough.
And then I probably put Josh Hart behind him because I think Josh Hart
was the best through the first 2 games.
2 games.
Yeah.
And I think he had a down game in game 3 and has bounced back today with a really good Josh Hart game. So, yeah, and Parker Alfred said, yeah, OG has been the best Knick. I mean,
it might be OG.
If you want to say OG, I don't think that's crazy.
Because if we factor in defense more than I think a lot of our other contemporaries
do. So I'm fine with somebody says.
Fine with that.
Someone says OG.
Yeah.
JM30 says I just want to play smart basketball on both sides of the ball. Yeah. That's JM30. That's what it takes to win. You're gonna have to play smart basketball and execute on both sides of the ball. The Knicks did that tonight. They were focused. They played basically a full 48. I'm sure Mike Brown will look at the tape and say they could have done more, but he basically played a full 48, and I thought that was good. Park Alfred against it. OG Cat Mitch held their ground, and JC scores some. We will be all right. Listen, and you're talking about Jordan Clarkson. Jordan Clarkson, 7 points off the bench. Jordan Clarkson's giving you some timely buckets. And that's what I'll call about Jordan Clarkson's play in the series, right? He hasn't had that game where I still be like 13, 15 off the bench.
Yeah.
He's not even really shooting threes, which has been interesting in how he's changed his game.
He's not trying to do too much.
He's not trying to do too much, but he's just doing enough.
Yeah.
Holding his own on defense. He'll get you offensive rebound, although he did not have any rebounds in this game tonight. He gave you 7 points.
He's playing winning basketball.
Yeah, Juice is starting to get it. Alvarado. That's what it came off the bench. Everybody off the bench played winning basketball. Mitchell Robinson had more minutes tonight, 15 points.
How many minutes did Cat finish with?
Cat finished with...
I know he came out...
29 minutes.
29 only, wow. Because then he had the injury, and then they also had a blowout victory. And,
Yeah, so they didn't need him.
Yeah, so
29 minutes for Cat, which is also impressive that he got his triple-double in that time. That tells you how efficient his game was
Only
tonight.
had 10 shots.
Only had 10 shots.
That's all he needed. He was getting to the line, though. He was aggressive.
He was.
aggressive in the right spots. I give Cat all the credit in the world. Great game.
It's a great game.
Yeah.
He was hitting the spot. Listen, in closing, Knicks fans, you should feel good. But don't think Atlanta's just going to roll over here. And the Knicks cannot, while they're smiling, they're going to get back on the plane up to New York. They cannot be sitting without having that same energy. They got to have that energy that they had today. They almost got to play this like they're down 2-1 again.
Yeah.
Or they're down 3-2. They come with the requisite energy and their focus for the series, they will finish the series. If they don't and they play with their food, they're going to be in trouble again.
Yeah.
And by trouble again, it doesn't mean being down 3-2. I thought they needed this win. I thought they needed a convincing win like we talked about with JJ. They got that because I think a squeaker of a win would not have had people feeling good. If you're a Knicks fan and you feel good, you should feel good. I feel good.
I wouldn't blame you if you still felt nervous, though, given that it's 2-2 and teams have won at the Garden.
I want to see, I feel better,
Yeah.
but I want to see back-to-back strong performances.
You'll feel good if they replicate this in Game 5.
Come home, show your fans a reason to believe.
And some of y'all might not feel good until they win the series, which I understand, too. Listen.
Can't say that somebody's wrong
You've
for
seen
that.
enough heartbreak. I
Sure.
totally get it.
Can't say that somebody's wrong for that.
I completely understand.
Can't say that somebody's wrong for that.
Also, in closing for me, I think one of the adjustments we'll see is Atlanta trying to get back to going downhill. I already talked about the shooting and how many threes that they took, and half of their shots coming from three, and that's not something they want, even though they can shoot threes. I think they're going to figure out ways to attack the basket more. So Cat has to be ready to protect the rim. Other guys have to be ready to rotate, not overplay and leave the corner shooters open, which they've done better at. They were good at that today. They have to keep doing that. I'm also not counting on Atlanta just shooting 24% from three again. So, there is some correction to be had here. That being said, going back to what JJ talked about during the live, when it comes down to it, the Knicks are just the better team. So if they play like the better team, then they should win this series. That's really it.
Yeah. And today they played like the better team.
Yeah.
Today they played like the better team. This is the performance you thought you could have seen from this team through the season. It was not always consistent. You and I talked about it. Maybe it's a little bit sleeping on your opponent. But when you sleep on your opponent, you, especially in this series, there's a world where the Knicks should be up 3-1 in this series.
Yeah.
And the Knicks play with their food in game two. When you play with their food in game two, that's where you're in the position you are now. However, they salvaged themselves from being down 3-1. And now it's 2-2. You're home in front of your fans. You do not need, if you don't want the nervous energy at the Garden, you got to come out with the right
Come out
energy.
hot.
Because the nervous energy will be there if you're shaky. I agree, you think you'll see some adjustments for Atlanta. It's a tall test for them on the road. But what you got to do is if you get off to a good start, then they're able to come back and quiet the crowd a little bit. You got to get the crowd a reason to want to cheer a lot for you so that you can then go down and take care of business in Atlanta in Game 6.
Garden cheers are one thing. What you don't want is
that Garden nervous energy.
You don't
is
want
what I
that
call
Garden,
it.
those Garden murmurs.
Yeah, you hear all what's going on here.
You start the fourth quarter, you're 0 for 5 from the field, you're hanging on to a 6-point lead, and then it's like,
People like, I don't know if I want to go to the concession stand and get my beer. I don't.
Yeah.
I get all that. The Knicks have to do that, but we will be with everybody. We will be with you on Tuesday night. The Knicks will be here. Guests to be announced. TBD. We will announce who the guest is.
It'll be a good one.
I'm sure it will be a good one. We want to thank everybody for joining us. Obviously, in the chat, hitting the like button, hitting the subscribe button. Also, special thanks to our guy, John Jastremski. You catch him on SNY. Also, the host of the New York podcast, which he now does independently. Check him out there. Does a fantastic job with them. He sat with us during the live show and a little bit for post game. So check it out. If you missed some of this post game, you can rewatch it. It'll be up on YouTube. You can also listen to this in podcast form on all digital streaming platforms where you can get New York Got Game. We got a lot of good stuff in New York Got Game. We will have a little preview that I'll be doing on Monday. This should drop on Monday to preview Game 5, what the Knicks need to do to win Game 5. My guy David Shepard from SiriusXM NBA Radio will be joining me to talk a little bit about that. Brian and I back for Game 5 on Tuesday night, and then obviously Game 6 Thursday night. And we'll see where the series is at that point or where it's going from there.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I'm not saying a Game 7, but you never know.
You never know.
We will see.
You'll want a Game 7 if they lose.
Knicks don't want any part of a Game 7.
Game 5 is another you better spot. Just like today. So.
I think the Knicks got to keep the same energy in a good way. They got to do that. So that's going to do it for this post-game edition live watch party for Game 4 of Knicks Hawks. It was a fun one. Knicks with a win, 114-98. Special thanks to our technical director, Abdiel Bermudez. Did a fantastic job holding down everything. He's Bryan Fonseca. I'm Dexter Henry. We'll catch you next time. Another edition of New York Got Game.
Jose.
And thanks for watching New York Got Game. Boom shakalaka.